Hello, my friend, and welcome to the Zendo. Today, I'd like to help you understand the difference between the enlightened mind and the conditioned mind that everyone lives in. And I'd also like to give you a transmission at the end of this so that you can directly experience what this enlightened mind, this awakened mind is. It's really the only way to truly understand it. But some of the teaching that I'm going to do today will give you a good idea of what it is, and the transmission will hopefully give you the direct experience, a little bit of that, of what it actually is, the direct experience of what the awakened mind is. Now let's start off with looking at the conditioned mind. This is something you're completely familiar with. Everybody is familiar with a conditioned mind. This is the mind that we live under, that 99.999% of all humanity lives under. This is the mind that experiences the ups and downs of life, like a roller coaster. Sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're sad. Sometimes within the same day you've experienced happiness and sadness. You experience fear, anxiety, all kinds of different suffering, and also moments of joy, happiness, and love. But it never lasts, does it? The love doesn't seem to just continue on. It's always interrupted by the opposite, by experience of doubt or anxiety or fear. And the happiness also doesn't last. We have moments of happiness followed by moments of unhappiness. Now, this is the way the unawakened life, the conditioned life is. We see the world through our thoughts, and our thoughts are dualistic. There's good and bad, happiness and sadness, fear and not fear. We have, it's an experience of duality, of ups and downs. This is our normal life. This is what we experience in life. This is our conditioned life, and it's what we've been conditioned to experience in life. The awakened mind is very, very different from this. Very different from this. And I'll explain to you how, in this simple analogy that's been used in every tradition. It's used in Buddhism, it's used in every mystic tradition, is the ocean and the waves. I'm sure you've heard this before. If not, it's a very common tradition, but I'd like you to really deeply experience this. I'd like you to really deeply, don't think of it just with your mind. Let your mind absorb it, but then go much deeper into this. So in the waves and ocean, we have waves, very much like what our conditioned mind is, isn't it? They have ups and downs. Waves go up, and then they come down. They go up and down, just like our conditioned mind. Up and down, happiness, sadness, fear, love, love, hate, up and down. This is our life. And if we look at this clearly too, we say we may have expectations to get happiness, things that we think will give us happiness, and then it doesn't work out. And there are other times when we have very little expectation or almost none, and things do work out. It seems if we really pay attention, we don't have as much control over this life as we think we do. Otherwise, we'd be happy all the time, wouldn't we? Oh, I know how to get happiness, and every time I try, I get it. It doesn't work that way, does it? We're often disappointed and frustrated. And sometimes happiness just comes for no reason. We don't know why it came. We have no control over it. It just comes. And other times we try as hard as we can to get it, and it's not there. That's our experience. So it's very much like the waves. The waves don't control when they go up and down. They just go up and down. They have no control over this, just like we don't. And they experience duality, sometimes up, sometimes down, sometimes high, sometimes low. So if we look at the waves and we focus on the waves, and this is what the conditioned mind does, it pays attention to the waves. It pays attention to the appearances that we see, because we can see the waves. What we're missing is the ocean. What we're missing is the ocean. The ocean is always here. It doesn't go up and down. It's not disturbed by the waves. If a tidal wave comes, the ocean is still the ocean. It has no effect on the ocean. If there are no waves and the ocean is completely flat, it has no effect on the ocean. The ocean is still the ocean. Waves are not. High waves or small waves, or no waves. The ocean remains the same always. The ocean is unchanged by whatever the waves are doing. And this is very important. I want you to feel this. The waves are not waves. They're ocean, aren't they? If you took away the ocean, where would the waves be? They couldn't exist. The waves depend completely on the ocean to exist. Otherwise, they're not here. No ocean, no waves. So the waves really are the ocean. They're not waves. They're not what they appear to be. Through our minds, through our names, labels, form, appearances, we see waves, and we call them waves. And we say, well, they're the waves, and there's the ocean. Two different things. But they're not. It's only ocean. It's only ocean. Waves are just what our conditioned mind says about those appearances. Feel this for a moment. Waves are only ocean. They've never been anything but ocean. Even though we call them waves, even though we like looking at them, even though they may be beautiful, they're still just ocean. They've never been waves. They've never been anything other than ocean. What does this mean about our life? When we see a tree, a mountain, a river, a world, a universe, the sun, ourself, we're seeing waves. We have many names to call these things. As people, we have individual names, and we feel different. That person is different from that person. Tom is different than Jane. They're not the same. They look different. One's male, one's female. Some people are fat, some are thin. All differences. The person is not the tree or the mountain or the river. But we don't see what's behind it. We're only looking at the wave, and we're calling it a wave. We're not realizing that it's all ocean. It's all ocean. Now, this analogy of the ocean, what I'm talking about here in our daily life and what we experience through our conditioned mind, the ocean here we could call God. We could call Source, Universe, the unborn. We have many names for this. In Buddhism, we don't use the word God. If Buddha were asked about God, he would just remain silent. They call this the lion's roar, because if he said anything about God, we would have an idea about God, and it wouldn't be God. Because the truth of God, Source, the infinite, the unborn, is it has no name. It's beyond thought. It's beyond concepts, completely and absolutely beyond concepts. So if we have any concept about it, it's not it. We've pushed the direct experience of it away. We've moved away from the experience of it. If we have a concept about God, we've moved away from the direct experience of God, and we don't know God. This is what religions do, don't they? Religions feel, well, there's me and God. There's the world, and then there's God. There's God, and there's the devil in Christianity. It's all duality. So the God they're talking about is not God. It's just another wave. It's just another concept and belief. God is beyond belief. It's beyond thought. So it has to be beyond belief. It's beyond thought. And yet we can experience this. because we are not separate from this. We are not a wave. We're the ocean. We've always been the ocean. We cannot be anything but the ocean. And this is true for everything that you see. Everything you perceive is really just ocean, not what your mind tells you it is. So all our conditioning, all our knowledge can be reduced to God. And this is one way. Often when we're meditating in the beginning, we have a hard time with our thoughts. Our thoughts come and we get distracted. And this is the reason that we're not realizing God in every moment, realizing source, realizing reality, because we're distracted by our thoughts, by our conditioned thoughts. We're distracted by the waves, so we can't see the ocean. But the ocean is always here. The waves cannot exist without the ocean. You cannot exist without this infinite ocean. You are this infinite ocean. Everything you perceive is this infinite ocean. The experience of this ocean is one of unlimited, unbounded bliss, unconditional love, and peace beyond any understanding or concept. That's how you know God. You know it by this direct experience. So if thoughts trouble you in meditation, there's a wonderful mantra that I use, which is just remembering there's only God. All that exists is God. There's never been anything else. So what is this thought? God. What else could it be? And once you understand this and have had any experience of this, you just fall into this infinite ocean of bliss. The content of the thought just fades away. It doesn't mean anything. It's just a story. It's just more conditioned thoughts. It's never been anything but God. So the experience of God just outshines, completely outshines everything else. That's the experience of the enlightened mind. All thoughts completely outshone by this infinite, unlimited bliss, this infinite ocean of love. I'm just using words to describe this. It's so much beyond any words that I can use. But hopefully this transmission will help you understand. If you can just for a moment allow your mind to accept that everything is just God, that nothing could exist without God, that nothing does exist without God, and it's not God and this, God and you, God and the tree, God and the mountain. It's just God. The mountain, the tree, and you are just conditioned thoughts. They don't really exist as you think they do. There are forms, there's solidity. It's all temporary, isn't it? Just like the waves. How long will your body last? 80, 90, 100 years? That's it. This hand, this is my left hand. You presumably have a hand as well. And you can do this as well. So this is a hand, fingers, right? We call these fingers a thumb, hand, fingers, thumb. These are all names, labels, and this is how we perceive this. This is my hand. This is my finger. This is my thumb. And if we see that that's waves, these are waves. This, fingers, thumb, hand, just waves. It's really just God. That's all, just God. if you start feeling this, it's not a mental understanding, it's a direct experience of feeling. The awakened mind is not a mind of thoughts. It's beyond thought. It's a direct experience. It's more of a feeling, a being. So suddenly what we call the hand becomes being itself, an isness. And beyond that, something far more than our eyes can see, far more than our senses can perceive, but we feel it. There's something much, much more here than fingers, hand, thumb. Much, much more than that. And it feels like that. If we let our thoughts go by saying, only God, only God. You don't have to use the word God. If you have an idea about God, some concepts about God, and you can't shake that, then let it go. Choose a word that you don't have any ideas about. Something that's completely neutral. There are many words to choose from. Source, Ramana Maharshi calls it the self, which can be confused with the identity, the personal identity, but that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about God, Source, the infinite, the unnameable, what's beyond thought. For me, the word God is a shorthand for completely beyond any concepts and thoughts. So I just fall into that by using that word. But for many people, it doesn't work that way because they have thoughts about God. They have conditioned thoughts and training and learning and knowledge about God, and they can't separate it out. So if that case, use another word. Use a different word that works for you. Or just use the unknown, the unknowable, the infinite mystery. Whatever works for you. Whatever lets thoughts fall away. So this deep stillness of mind, emptiness of mind, a purity that lets you perceive the world as it is, not as you think it is, not as you know it is, not as your knowledge tells you it is, but something vastly different from that. And when you're overflowing with love and bliss and this infinite peace, you know, that's it. It's a direct experience. The awakened mind is a direct experience. And you can live this way. It takes time. We have a lot of distractions. Our mind is distracting us. The appearances of the world are distracting us. All of our conditioning is distracting us. So we just have to come back to the realization that it's all ocean. It's only been ocean. It's all this infinite ocean of bliss, of love, of peace. That's all it's ever been. Donald Trump, just God, just the infinite ocean. The name Donald Trump and everything we know about Donald Trump and perceive about Donald Trump is just a wave. It's just a wave. It's just our conditioned thoughts. There's something behind all of this. Behind you. Behind your thoughts. Behind your feelings. Something much deeper and truer. That you are. You cannot attain this by trying, by even all the practices that we do. Because it just is. The wave cannot make the ocean by practicing. The ocean is always here. The wave is not. The wave is temporary, it comes and goes, and it never has been other than ocean the whole time. That's you. That's me. So when you settle into this, when you relax into this, when you just fall back, surrender and fall back into this infinite ocean of being, you know. You know. You awaken from this dream of a conditioned world of duality, of ups and downs, of good and bad. None of this has ever existed. There's only God, only Source, only this infinite, unlimited, unborn, unmanifest. You don't see this with your human senses and perceptions. Somehow we do see it. When we awaken, we do see it. It's very, very clear. But it's not through our normal senses, our eyes, our ears. I don't really know how we perceive it, but we do. And it completely outshines the dream, completely outshines illusion. Not that we can't slip back. It's possible. We can. In the beginning, it happens often. We get distracted by the thought, something's triggered, and we believe this, we get lost in the story again. It happens. But over time, it happens less and less. Eventually, we just stay here. And the few times we're pulled away, we come back quickly because this is real. It's an integration, a new normal that happens eventually. But having this experience is very important. Otherwise, you're just using your mind. You're just trying to understand it with your mind, and you can't. It's important to understand that. Your mind cannot understand this. So let it go. Stop trying. It's enough to accept that there's only God in all existence, and then ask, well, what's that feel like? What's that like if there's only God? What's that experience if there's only God? Who am I talking to? God. Who's talking? God. That's all there is. It's okay to let go into this. There's resistance and clinging to the things that we want to hold on to in the dream. Yeah, that happens. That's normal. But the only thing that you can let go of is an illusion, is a dream. You cannot let go of what's real. What's real will always remain. There's no danger of letting go of that. It's always going to be here. You can only let go of what isn't real. So it's okay to let go of everything. To just surrender completely. And if you're willing to acknowledge or accept that in all of existence there has never been anything but God, but this source, but this unity, this oneness, you're letting go of all the dream, the whole dream. And then you'll naturally let go of that thought too, because you don't need it. Things simply are as they are, not as we think they are. It's okay to let go. It's okay to be what you've always been. This absolute perfection. So let's take a moment now just to feel this. To feel this absolute perfection. This infinite bliss. This unbounded peace. This infinite love. Rest in this ocean of what you are. Thank you, my dear friend. Namaste.